if a human being wants to be really happy and contented all his life, as Sri Krishna says, Atmanye Vatmana Trishtaha, he ideally needs to study three key Vedic scriptures. In his Upanishads, Upanishani, Brahma Sutras, and Bhagavad Gita. These are the Prasthantraya. One can also learn from three other key books called Mahagranthas, like Ramayana and Mahabharata and Bhagavad. And for some of us who understand Marathi, we like four additional texts which are very helpful. Jnaneshwari of Jnandev, Bhagavad of Eknath, Santa Eknath, Abhanga of Tukaram Gatha, and Shlok of Ramdas Dasboth. These are the 10 beautiful masterpieces. But personally, my most favorite of all is Bhagavad Gita. As I mentioned to you many times over the years, anyone can study entire Gita one verse at a time. But in order to understand that very first verse, he must learn that verse from an individual who's enlightened and understands all 700 verses well. He, having learned those from a tradition of enlightened teachers, starting from Lord Sadashiva himself, Sadashiva Samarambha. This morning task is even more challenging because what I'm trying to attempt is to distill all those 700 verses with some important teachings of Lord Sri Krishna for all of us who are householders to practice in our daily life. These three lines, not even three verses, are the Bhagvat Gita Mala Mantra. And that's what we're going to study today. And I don't know if Arun is able to put that thing up for a moment, but I'll sing it. Om Asya Shri Bhagvat Gita Mala Mantrasya Bhagwan Veda Vyasa Rishi Anushtup Chandaha Shri Krishna Paramatma Devata Ashochanand Vashochatsvam Pradnyavadam Shivasase iti Bijam Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja iti Shakti Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Shucha iti Kilakam Shri Krishna Prityarthe Jape Vinyoga. So these are three verses, three lines, which are the one which consider the key verses in the Bhagavad Gita Mala Mantra. This, I'm glad he's put up in English too, those who may not be able to read Sanskrit. As you all know, Bhagavad Gita is a celestial garden, celestial garland actually, of powerful verses, each flower representing a fragrant flower, which details eternal truth about Brahman, that is Brahma Vidya, and also the ideal methodology, Yoga Shastra, for everyone to understand thoroughly and then to fully assimilate it in our daily life. Through these spiritually enlightening verses runs the unique thread of divinity. Each verse enlightens us with uplifting words of knowledge and wisdom of Paramatma, and in this case, that of Lord Sri Krishna, the divine incarnation of Lord Vishnu, that we pray to when we sing these key verses from Gita in the form of this mantra. Let's start with the first line in this mantra. Shri Krishna Paramatma Devata. It is said, Krushubhur Krushi Bhur Vachaka Shabda Nascha Nivrutti Vachaka Tayoraikyam Parabrahma Krishna Ityabhiyite. What it means is, Krishna has two parts. Krish represents the power of Bhagwan. Jnana, Vairagya, Bala, Aishwarya, Shakti, Virya. And the Na is Anandavachak, meaning that one gives us infinite amount of joy and happiness. So Lord Sri Krishna thus represents both aspects of the divinity, one which is infinite joy and happiness, as well as all the power of Bhagwan, as I mentioned to you, the knowledge, dispassion based upon the understanding of knowledge, the power, overlordship, or sovereignty. Now, what is a mantra? We talk about Sri Krishna Paramatma Devatas, we're going to pray here. What is the mantra? Basically, I told mantra can be divided as Mananat Trayate iti mantra, one that protects us by reciting, reflecting, understanding, and assimilating. You can divide that Sanskrit word into Manushyanam Trayate iti mantra, one who protects the human beings. So first line was Shri Krishna Paramatma Devata. The second line is Bhagavan Veda Vyasa Rishihi. What is the writer? Who's the writer of the mantra? The sage Veda Vyas. What is the definition of Rishi? Shastras have said Rishi Darshanat. One who has had the vision of God, one who knows Brahman and its exact identity with his own Atman, he is Rishi. So Bhagwan, the Veda Vyas, is the Rishi because he has had the vision of God, he's enlightened. Rishi is also one who has mastered the Arsha Vidya, Rishi Vidya. Vyasa, as all of you know, the legendary author of Mahabharata, Vedas and Puranas. And Gita is an integral part of Mahabharata, which is placed in the center in the Bhishma Parva. He wrote Brahma Sutras as well. Unique part about Vyasa is one of the 7 immortals. Now, if you want to know what the 7 are, there is a mantra called Ashwathama Balir Vyaso, Hanuma Ushya Vibhishana, Krupa Parushamascha, Saptaite Chiranjivina. But of course, Saptaitan Smaren Nityam, Markandeyam Mathashram, Jivet Varshashatam Sopi, Sarva Vyadi Vivarjita. So who are these? Starting with Ashwathama, Bali, Vyas, Hanuman, Bibhishan, Krupa, Parshuram. And of course, you can add Markandeya because, as you know, the story goes, he never dies. And those people who pray to them every day, they live for at least 100 years, but without any Vyadi, Sarva Vyadi Vivarjita. The third part of the mantra is Anushtup Chanda. What is a meter? What is the meter of Chanda? Meter means Chanda. What is the Chanda? Anushtup Chanda. Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that every word has a powerful meaning. Anu means by following this, by listening to this meter, our mind becomes stub. That means our mind becomes peaceful, purified, and tranquil. So by listening to this particular meter, a chanda, our mind becomes quiet and not disturbed. Instead, it becomes peaceful, purified. Sarva papascha shivam upashamam shantam iti anushtup chandaha. Gita consists of majority of anushtup mantras. There are 645 verses out of 700 are anushtup. 55 are trishtup. And what is trishtup? If anushtup was 8 syllables each, subsections to making 32 syllables, trishtup is 4 of 11, making it 44. For example, if you want to give an example for trishtup, Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinnati naroparani tatha sharinani vihaya jirnani. So this is basically the trishtup. Now the next line we talked about, Vedvyas Rishi is the writer, the meter is Anushtup, Devata is Shri Krishna in the form of Paramatma. The first line is Ashocha Nanva Shochatsvam Padna Vadamscha Bhashase Iti Bijam. This is the 11th verse of the 2nd chapter. The first sentence to answer the question of Arjuna that Shri Krishna says. Bija means root cause, the main purpose of creation of this mantra. This mantra was created to answer the question posed by Arjuna's narrative, dejection, grief, and the concern that he expressed, and sat down dejectedly in the chariot. Shri Krishna says, Tvam anvashochaha. You grieve for those who should not be grieved for. Ashochan. Ashochan. Tvam anvashocha. You grieve for those who should not grieve for. Pradyabhadamsha bhashase. And as yet, I know you do speak several words of wisdom. Pradyabhadamsha bhashase. The wise with the knowledge of Atman are the Pandit. Those Pandits do not grieve. No anushochanti. For those from the who they do not grieve for, gatasuna. Those who breath has left them, gatasuna, gatasuna. And for those from whom the breath has as yet not left, agatasuna. Sooner or later they're going to die, so they don't cry for the people who moved on, and for those who have as yet not moved on, because they knew what Atma is. The wise do not grieve for those who are living or no longer living. Now, what is Pandit, as I mentioned to you earlier, is the one with the knowledge about Atman. Shankaracharya states that there are various types of knowledges. Panda is the one who has the knowledge as to what Atman is, and hence he is called Pandit. As a matter of fact, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad describes Atma Vishaya Buddhi Yesham Tehi Panditaha. So those who have clear understanding as to what Atma is, those are people should be called Pandit. Now, as you realize, Arjuna was well read, had many talents, his knowledge in many ways as called Pradnyavan about the varieties of things including warfare, and as you know, he was the greatest archer of his times, but he did not possess the knowledge about Atman, his true identity. And starting from this very statement, 211, primarily till the very end of the 18th chapter, 1866, Lord Sri Krishna passed on to Arjuna a knowledge of Brahman, Atman, and the entire creation. That's called Brahma Vidya. Reminding Arjuna in reality who really he was. In that process, he also elucidated to Arjuna the methodology called Yoga Shastra in order to gain that knowledge. He noted that one can obtain this knowledge through any of the two different lifestyles. One, that of renunciation, sannyasi, and one who's like Arjuna, a householder. Luckily for us, we devotees who study these 700 verses from Gita, like us, here are the true beneficiaries of this dialogue. Just like, you use a calf to start the milk flow from the cow, and sure, calf gets enough amount of milk, but in that process, the family benefits from that milk. So that way, we devotees get the beautiful wisdom from their dialogue. We talk about Ashocha Nanva Shochatsvam, Pradnya Badasha Bhashase, Iti Bijam. And then what we said? Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja Iti Shakti. As a matter of fact, this single line should be qualified by a couple of lines before, so I'll start with that. Manmana Maho Matmatko, Madhyajima Namaskuru, Mame Vai Shashi Satyamte, Pratijane Priyosime, Sarvadharman Parityajya, Mamekam Sharanam Braja, Iti Shakti. So 1865, and the first line of 66th verse. These are the final two verses of Lord Sri Krishna teaching that, as we noted earlier, started with the 11th verse of the second chapter. So what Shakti or what strength does Bhagavad Gita bring to the devotees? It was the most powerful wisdom imparted in the song of Bhagwan. One needs utmost faith and total devotion to God. In this case, to Lord Sri Krishna, who is Paramatma, describing the knowledge. One must have Shraddha and Bhakti. Shraddha means absolute confidence, utmost sincerity to pursue the God, intense longing to reach that goal, and positive outlook towards the life, and finally pursuing it with absolute certainty that you'll achieve it without the slightest negative thought in the mind. That is Shraddha. Mil jayega. We'll certainly be able to achieve it. Like sage, I said sage Dhruva, but really started as a little young boy. He sat down in one place without the slightest movement and continued his prayers, the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, till such time that he had to get the darshan. That means he had become the Rishi, the Rishi Darshanat. So that is the kind of commitment that we need. Shraddha, ho jayega, we'll be able to achieve it. And what is Bhakti? Bhakti is utmost devotion until the ultimate goal is reached. And then what happens is, once you're able to reach the goal, what appeared once upon a time impossible, incredible, you were able to accomplish. And what we really learned, and as we will learn, that what we are trying to accomplish was already with us, but we did not know. And that's why you need the guidance of an enlightened guru like Lakshmeshi was. And of course, as you start, Sadashiva Samarambhat, so goes to the tradition of teaching. A typical householder, ignorant of his true identity, is never quite happy and quite content at all about life. There's always a sense of inadequacy. Something is missing. So what he does is, he tries to pursue and acquire some material things in search of that illusory happiness. And what Shri Krishna is saying, instead of that failure-ridden approach, we human beings need to do precisely what we've been taught in this verse, in the 65th verse and the first half of the 66th verse. Understanding that, applying that in our daily lives is the real power and the strength of this mantra. So that is the power, Shakti. Let's translate each of the word from that verses to understand the deeper meaning. Lord Shri Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto, means devotee who has Parameshwar as the object in mind. So the mind is offered to Ishvara, Manmana bhava mad bhakto. With such an offering, he is mad bhakta, totally devoted to God and Ishvara. His commitment is only to Ishvara. Whatever he does for the sake of Ishvara. All the rituals, yajnas, pujas, all karmas are done only for Ishvara. The rituals as well as duties are only for me, who is Ishvara, Madhyaji. That's what Shri Krishna said. Ishvara alone is the refuge, the locus of surrender. And thus Shri Krishna says, you may salute me only, Mam Namaskuru. Actually, as a matter of fact, it was Shankaracharya who adds in his commentary, he says, in that case, you would reach me alone. He says in his commentary, Mam Eva Eshyasi. So basically, Mam Namaskuru. There's a little confusion about it. We'll describe it a little later. People think that because Shri Krishna says, Krishna is the only God. That's not the case. He's basically talking the Paramatma or Ishwar. He continues in the same verse, in this form of Ishvara here. I'm telling you, it's an absolute truth. I promise you, you'll come to me only. You'll come unto me only. And I'm telling you, Satyam te pratijane. In such a situation, the end, that is sadhya, to be achieved, the means, the sadhana, and the offering is nothing but Ishwar. You're offering Ishwar, process offering is Ishwar, and ultimately to receive sadhya is Ishwar. So, not split at all. Funny part about it is that as a good teacher, Sri Krishna repeats his teachings over and over again. As a matter of fact, in the same chapter he had said, in the 46th verse, Yata pravrittir bhutanam Yena sarvabidam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim bhavati manava. Tam means Ishwaram abhyarcha. By performing one's natural occupation, one worships the Creator from whom all living entities have come into being and by whom the whole universe is pervaded. By such performance of work, a person easily attains the perfection. Yena pravritti Buddha. All of the entities have come from him, from whom, and basically is pervaded by him, and offering everything to Ishvara, Siddhim Bhavandati Mandava. So when you do something because that's your duty and because situation demands it, that is your dharma. You see, it doesn't matter what the specific duty it is. Conformity dharma is exactly what is meant by worshipping. By performance of one dharma, one gains success, including the enlightenment. The commitment has to be keeping with dharma, because dharma is not separate from Ishvara, who is the efficient and material cause. That means abhinna, nimitta, upadana, karanam. That means everything is the same. And that is exactly what is meant by tam Ishvara, from whom all beings emerge and by whom they are sustained. Yata pravritti bhutanam, and then yena sarvam idam tatam. The karma is meant for a variety of things, but the karma yoga is meant only for one thing, that is for antahkarana shuddhi, getting the individual ready to gain the jnana. That is not the jnanam, that is the person's mind is cleansed to receive it. You have to have your house clean before you welcome the guest who's in life. Karma yogi knows what he exactly wants. He wants the blessings of the enlightened in that specific purushartha. And really speaking, once he understands that purushartha, that is none other than the moksha itself. But getting the mind prepared, one needs an antakarana shuddhi. As we noted earlier, it doesn't matter what kind of work it is. In whatever he is supposed to perform in his life, stages of life, that's equally important. Well, that sounds very theoretical. Let me tell you a story. This is told by sage Markandeya to Yudhishthira in the Vanaparva. Young sannyasi, a monk, did penance for a few years. Absolutely devoted, continued to do the penance day and night, and sat under the tree one day after that, when the crow sitting on the top of the tree, relieved itself and dirtied the sannyasi. When he looked up to the tree, upstairs and up in the tree, he saw the crow and he was looking at it angrily. The crow fell down dead. The sannyasi started becoming too proud with his mystic powers. Then later on he goes for the alms in the town, Om Bhavati Bhikshandi, and comes at a house where the lady comes out, welcomes him with a smile, and requests him to kindly wait since she had to attend to some very urgent work. He looked at her in anger, thinking in his mind, "You wretched woman, how dare you make me wait for a while? You don't know my mystical powers." He didn't say anything, but that was his look in his eyes. He was fuming angrily. Reading his mind, that lady promptly said, "Please do not look at me with anger, because I'm not the crow you burned down in anger with a glance." The monk was shocked and asked with due humility and understanding that he had done something terrible. He said, "How did she know about the incident?" She replied, "I may not have done any austerities like you, but I do follow my dharma, perform all my duties as an utmost devotion and dedication to God. And over the years, I've been illumined by my teacher." When monk says, "Who was the teacher?" And she said, I don't want to teach you about dharma. My guru has taught, so why don't you go and see him? He suggested to monk, it will be best for him to meet her guru in person. He was kind of curious. Who's your guru? She said, he's a butcher in the nearby town of Mithila who will answer his questions about dharma. Monk, egotistic, was rather concerned about the lowly butcher going to teach him anything, particularly about dharma, but he'd finally decided to meet him. He had to wait for quite a while after arriving in Mithila at his butcher shop. Since butcher was helping his customers in his shop, the shop was still open, and then after he finished the work in the shop and closed it, then he said, still wait because he had the duty to attend to his elderly and ill father at home. Butcher said to the monk, I'm sorry, that he was very sorry that the monk had to wait, but that he was simply performing his duties and following his dharma with total dedication and devotion to God. He taught finally the monk that every individual must perform his duty dharma, appropriate for his stage in life, pursue his chosen profession only in the spirit of service to God or Ishvara. Every profession is equally important for smooth running of the society. The young monk did learn that one's own duty or dharma can be of any kind of work. None is low, none is high, as long as it is done as an offering to Ishvara. Continuing the same part of Shakti, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. I was still on the Shakti. Shri Krishna said, giving up all karmas, take the refuge and be alone. So giving up all dharmas, giving up all the activities. How can it be? But we, all of us know, nobody can ever sit quietly without doing anything. As a matter of fact, Shri Krishna himself in the 3rd chapter in the 5th verse says, Nai kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarma krit. Nobody, it's impossible to get rid of any kind of activity, and you cannot give up any activity even for a second. Nai kshanamapi. Then how is talking about giving up action? But it is the action can be given up only through the knowledge the real doer is none other than God. That sannyas is jnana karma sannyas. One needs to give up the notion of doership. And one can accomplish that by surrendering to him, God, Paramatma, Shri Krishna, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. Individuals do get confused again, as I mentioned to you earlier. Those who follow only Krishna, they say Krishna is the only God. But remember, he is standing here teaching Arjuna in the form of Krishna in this stage. He is coming as a Paramatma and Ishwar. So God by any name, Ishwar by any name, is exactly the same Paramatma. God that exists both. You must remember, this Atma exists not only in the sentient or living things, but also remains in the insentient things as well. And we have to understand very clearly, everything is God. Even creation is God. So God is the nature of all entities, living or not so living. Sarvatmanam, Sarvatmanam, Sarvabhutata Atma, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Atma. Each individual, Atman has the entirety of Brahman. One must have attitude of being Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. Now one needs to negate all notions of duality. Conclusions such as I'm different, I'm the agent, I'm karta. This is object, karma. This is action, kriya. This means of doing the action, karan. This is the result, phala. All these notions of difference, bheda pratyaya, have to be negated. For example, if you remember in the 4th chapter, in the 24th verse we learned, Brahma arpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahma karma samadhina. Here the doer, the object, the action, and means of doing the action are exactly the same, Brahman. Once again, one who's performing the yajna, yajman, one that is being offered to the oblation as ghee, one who receives the oblation, your stomach oblation, is Brahman. The process of offering is again Brahman. That's exactly a clear understanding of non-duality. This knowledge of non-duality of the self is the only means of moksha. Once this knowledge is gained, inculcated, and ingrained as a second nature, the individual's moksha is achieved. In fact, knowledge of the self is moksha, as I mentioned to you. It's both the means and the end of moksha. Once the knowledge is gained, the individual is free from sorrow and no longer grieves. But even the doership of Atma is not real. Listen to me carefully. Even the doership of Atma is not real. It's only secondary. How so? To give an example, it is like a magnet which does not perform any action, but in its presence, iron filings move. It's like a catalyst which does not participate in the action or the outcome, but in its presence, activity takes place. That's how Paramatma acts through Atma and gets the things done. And we still have to recognize the action is performed by Paramatma. Coming back to the verse again, the Shri Krishna says, you'll come to me alone, mam eva eshyasi. This obtaining oneness, remember, this is obtaining oneness is a pre-existing oneness, not created oneness. Between the Atman and the Brahman is discovered. Let me clear. For example, when we do the surgery and open up the belly and put it together, it is division which is brought together and it heals. It becomes one. But this oneness is pre-existent. Because if it is created oneness, is subject to opening. Pre-existing oneness can never ever be separated. For example, two things are brought together, they will separate either by death or some other calamity. But this being pre-existence, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma will always remain. Is the only source of awareness, not the known or knowledge, but the awareness that is common in all three, that obtains as the basis of the invariable in all three. Remember, it's not knowledge, but it's only awareness that is the known and knowledge, everything. And as he mentioned, Satyam te pratijani. Satyam te pratijani, that means, I tell you the real truth, you'll come to me alone. And he says, Priyaha asime, because you're beloved to me, as I mentioned to you before in previous dialogues. When he says Priyaha asime means not you're dear to me and nobody else is, because understanding that you become one with me, you recognize who you are nothing, no different than me. So your identical quality is you're nothing, no different than me. And finally the third line is, Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha iti kilakam. Kilaka means a place where an individual can find safety. It is a safe harbor, a refuge. Another word is adhisthana, a place where an individual can find both comfort and safety. We consider your home as your place of comfort and safety. But if you want a perpetual, everlasting, eternal adhisthana, then basically it is Paramatma. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna represents his own self as ultimate reality. And now, as he concludes his teachings, he commands Arjuna to pursue his vision. O Arjuna, being the one whose only end is me, mentally renouncing all actions unto me, resorting to the life of Karma Yoga, may you become the one whose mind is always in me. He recognizes that Arjuna is a samsari, so he cannot become a sannyasi. So he has to pursue Karma Yoga. By having your mind always in me, you'll cross all the difficulties with my grace. By having your mind always in me, performing your duties appropriate for the situation and as your duty for your stage in life, you'll cross all the difficulties with my grace. But if you do not follow this pursuit, you'll certainly perish. If out of self-delusion you think I should not fight, then you'll resolve to be false, because you will only be subservient to your prakriti alone. This delusion will bind you to your actions born out of prakriti, and then you will be helpless in those actions, and even if you did not wish to do them. O Arjuna, the Lord is present at the core of every person. Through Maya, he causes all being to act as if driven by the machine. As a matter of fact, this is the translation of the teaching that he gave in the 61st and 62nd to 63rd verse. Through Maya, he causes all beings to act as if driven by a machine. Mayantraya. Abide in him alone in all your pursuits. By his grace, you'll gain absolute peace and resolute disposition. I've imparted to you this knowledge. This is the most secret of all secrets. Guyyatamam. So consider it completely and then do as you wish. Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. Please listen to my final and most secret words. I'm telling you for your own good, because definitely you are beloved to me. Think of me, devote to me, worship me, take refuge in me. I'm the Adhishtan. I promise you, you truly reach me alone. I'll release you from consequences of all actions. All sanchit karma. Sarva pape bhyo mokshayishyami. I'll release you from all the consequences of all the actions that you are about to undertake, all sanchit karma. Do not grieve. Ma shucha. The last verse of teaching of Gita that begins, as I mentioned earlier, with the 11th verse of the 2nd chapter. And the final part of the mantra is Shri Krishna Prityase Chape Viniyoga. Viniyoga means practical application. If we sing any of these verses of Gita, desirous of material things in our life, we'll never reach the ultimate goal of human existence, which is to attain moksha or liberation from any sense of limitation. Instead, we will stay under the sway of Prakriti and perform the actions for which we would be facing dire consequences. But instead, we sing these 700 verses on the regular basis for the sake of becoming one with Lord Shri Krishna, the ultimate divinity in this mantra, Paramatma, which is the other name for Brahman or Atman in every sentient and non-sentient entity in this creation. Our life's mission will be fulfilled. It means you become one with God. Shivo Bhutva, Shivam Yajet. After that, even the merits received by us are then offered to Lord Shri Krishna only. And then they say, Shri Krishna Arpanamastu, Shivam Bhayat, it be blessed for everybody, and ask for peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Hi, Namaste, Shashi, Anand.
Hi, Anand, how are you? Thanks for joining.
This is the point I think you made so well, that, before Sri Krishna delivered this teaching, we had the predominant understanding was the, karma sannyasa.
Yeah.
Karma sannyasa, that in order to attain liberation, you had to give up actions, all actions, karma, entering into, the fourth stage of sannyasa required karma sannyasa. But then he came and he made this important distinction that you lifted up this morning, that what we require is karma phala sannyasa. As you said, the giving up of the attachment to the fruits of action, to the results of action. So that, and of course, the two dimensions that you spoke about, which is that karma yoga involves Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, offering the actions to Ishvara, performing the actions for Ishvara, and the back end of that, karma phala tyaga, karma phala sannyasa, giving up the fruits of the action. I think this opened up the possibility of what he wanted to emphasize, which is a way of being of spirituality in this world, in the midst of our professions, in the midst of our families, in the midst of all the people like you or I do. We could still live out the religious life in all of its depths and its meaning. So I think it's really an important, so that, I mean, we have karma, but karma becomes a yoga, as you said.
Exactly.
It becomes a yoga.
Right.
When we have this Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, when the actions are performed for the sake of, offered to Ishvara, and then the results are entrusted to Ishvara, we have karma sannyasa. So Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and the karma phala tyaga is what really makes karma yoga. So
Exactly.
I'm just repeating what you said, but I think you distilled, and this is in a sense, I feel, the unique contribution of the Bhagavad Gita that you spoke about this morning. So thank you very much.
No, thank you, Anand. It was important because many times people get confused that sannyas is the only way of living this life. It's equally important, but at the same time, the groceries play a tremendous important role in the society.
Yeah.
Because they take care of the youngsters as they grow up. They make sure the society continues.
Exactly.
They take care of the elderly as well as the sannyasis.
Yes.
So they contribute a lot. So that's equally important. And for us, the method then, if you take samsari, then karma yoga. So that works really good.
Yes. So thank you, Shashi.
Thanks again.
So this is Sridhar here. I think this resonates with chapter 3, verse 4. Nakarmana anarambhat naishkaryam purushoshnate.
Exactly, you're right. Exactly.
I think it is karma. Doing karma is the primary responsibility of karma yoga. What karma yoga teaches us.
Yeah.
Renouncing karma itself is not going to give you anything. I think that's what this verse says.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he was telling Arjuna, because he wanted to give up work, his duty. Yeah. Absolutely right. Good point, Sridhar.